Hi, my name's Ryan, this is my channel, and today I want to talk about a deck in Marvel's Snap. This is a deck that combos really hard, and without your opponent having the right counterplay, it's almost impossible to stop this deck from executing on its game plan. And that plan is to spread around some Nimrods. Where most decks feature Nimrod, they will only see him as a bit player or a side strategy, such as Galactus or certain null destroy builds. This deck aims to build around Nimrod and get as much value out of the card as possible. This deck operates very well and is the deck that I used to finish my first ever climb to Infinite this season. The core goal of this deck is to get your Wolverine out into one of two lanes, play Shuri on 4, Nimrod onto the Shuri on turn 5, then play Venom onto that same Nimrod lane turn 6, along a second lane destroy card, ideally Carnage, in a different side lane. All of this is meant to synergize with Nimrod's effect, which is when he is destroyed in one lane, he creates copies in the other two. So think of it almost as like pushing him out of the lane that he's in when you destroy him. If you're not familiar with Nimrod, this might look like there's too many moving pink boys to predict where they're going to go when they're being destroyed in multiple lanes at the same time. But I can make it pretty simple to remember. You're going to have one lane that you're going to designate as Shuri, Nimrod, and Venom, or just the Venom lane for short. The second lane, which I usually prefer to be the middle lane, will be where I will play Nova and Carnage with my remaining 3 energy on turn 6. First 3 energy on turn 6 will be Venom. Second 3 will be Carnage and Nova. Carnage, being the last lane to clear out to push out its Nimrod, is going to end up with the lowest power. You play your Venom, it destroys your 1/12 power Nimrod. That Nimrod is going to spread to your middle and left lane. Your middle lane already has the Carnage, that just hasn't flipped yet. Because the Nimrod trigger occurs first, the Nimrod that lands in the middle lane will be destroyed by the Carnage that then flips, creating another Nimrod destroy trigger, pushing the Nimrod out of the middle lane and putting the second Nimrod into the left lane and another Nimrod into the right lane. So your left lane is going to have 2 Nimrods, your right lane is going to have 1 Venom, 1 Nimrod, and your middle lane is going to just have Carnage. Some mid-range decks will just struggle to beat 24 to 26 in one lane and 29 to 31 in another. If they have Shang-Chi, most of your power is going to be in a lane that has Nimrod. So even if they destroy your big Venom, that's just going to be another Nimrod destroy trigger, which this deck is never going to complain about. So when first trying the deck, decide what lane you want to be your main Venom lane, your main lane that you Shuri, Nimrod, Venom. And then you decide what the Carnage lane is going to be that you're going to throw, whatever lane you don't want to win. And then just watch the Nimrods fly. Once you have a feel for the consistency of this play, just decide what lane you're not going to try and win. And that's where you're going to play your second lane destroy card turn 6. The rest of the deck exists to offer more options if our primary game plan is not an option. Magic offers us an extra turn to draw our combo. Then we have Deathlock as backup in the event that we don't draw our Venom or Carnage. He's an extra lane destroyer just for the sake of backup consistency. Chavez exists purely for the sake of condensing our draw probabilities and making our turns 1 through 5 cards look more consistent. Destroyer exists to clear clutter, and if we have a turn 7, it helps us go very wide with a big board of Nimrods, or if we're really just not drawing our destroy cards, he is a decent last-ditch option. And in the event that you have some amount of board state and you don't draw Nimrod, but you do have Shuri, I mean, a 30-power destroyer really doesn't hurt. A lot of decks are running Cosmo in preparation to slow down Destroy, because so much value comes from the on-reveal cards in the Destroy archetype. So playing Destroy onto a Cosmo lane honestly isn't even the worst case. Sometimes it's just plus 15 power, don't worry about it. And if you don't want Cosmo negating the Destroy effect, just play him somewhere else. That's fine. You got 2 other lanes you can throw him into. Arnim Zola is a fantastic turn 7 play onto your Venom lane, because either he hits the Nimrod, which will add 24 to 26 power to your other 2 lanes with the redundancy between his effect and Nimrod's, or he's going to add 17 to 18 power worth of the Venom body, and then that is going to trigger Nimrod deaths in the left lane, which is still going to be adding 2 Nimrods to 2 lanes. So if you put Arnim Zola into a turn 7 Venom Nimrod lane, you're going to have the same number of Nimrods regardless. Last card I want to talk about is Iron Lad. As he is the highest rarity in the deck, you could swap him out for Jubilee, as Jubilee pulls the first card off the top of your deck instead of just copying it. So it's a similar effect, just instead of copying it and potentially getting a second Nimrod, a second higher power Wolverine, or a chance at just pulling out the exact combo piece that you need if it happens to be sitting on the deck. Jubilee is a lower powered version. But if you have Iron Lad, I highly recommend running him in there, because having 2 Wolverines bouncing around with death triggers, an extra Nimrod that's bouncing around because he has the same starting power as Nimrod. So he doubles on a Shuri exactly as well. And as I mentioned, if you're 1 card short of the combo, if you're sitting there on turn 4, you got the Nimrod for 5. You got the Carnage and you got the Venom for turn 6, but you just don't have Shuri. You can throw down Iron Lad. If you're playing with a deck tracking overlay, which I highly recommend, you'll be able to see what cards you haven't drawn yet. So that way you'll be able to see, okay, Shuri's here. We've got Chavez that is on the bottom, and then a couple of others. You'll be able to see, okay, I've got a 1 in 4 shot of this really working. And sometimes you make it work off of that 1 in 4. The biggest threat I've found to this deck is more often not going to be null decks and just any deck that runs armor. Null's going to be a threat to this deck because we're going to be killing 12 power worth of Nimrod at a time in a perfect state, and that's going to juice up their null very, very quickly. Armor shuts this deck so hard that it's actually the reason why I don't recommend this deck in Conquest. This deck is a little too one-dimensional to really excel there, and if your opponent is running armor, then the Shuri lane becomes a very, very easy target to save their armor for. All they need to do is wait until you play Shuri, immediately armor that lane, and then your combo is dead on arrival. So I would recommend taking this deck on ladder, but if you want to play a destroy deck in Conquest, I don't think this is the right one. I had a lot of fun with this deck on and off stream. Sadly, the game I hit Infinite with was not on stream, so I can't include it in the video. But the screenshot of the final board state is on my Twitter, so feel free to enjoy that after you drop me a follow, of course. Hit the YouTuber buttons down below. Catch me streaming these decks before the videos go live. And as always, goodbye, good luck, and thanks for watching. We can Wolverine on 2. We don't necessarily want a Deathlock. Going effects being disabled is a non-issue for our deck. I'll just put Wolverine here. Morbius. Our opponent is on discard. Just got an Odin. That could be interesting. That opens some interesting lines. So I think I want to turn off Atlantis. Okay, they got rid of the Abomination there. Alright, we don't have Shuri. I can just Deathlock into Nimrod, potentially. Wolverine's going to get a little bit bigger. This is going to be a weird line of play. So 6 is going to be Venom here into probably Carnage mid. Dracula is generally a lane that you want to throw, unless you can beat surprise 20 power in that lane afterwards. You either have to completely dumpster this lane, or except that there's really not much you can do about it. Because Dracula is a very difficult card to deal with. This will still be an 18 power Venom. And this will give us some good options. For turn 7. What we might do... So, we can... Ooh, this is interesting. This beats this lane further. We could potentially, like, Nova Odin. Odin would trigger the... they retreat anyway. That was, like, fractions of the combo. So, Odin into Venom is one of my favorite combos that I never play. Because it triggers the Venom effect again, feeding the Odin into Venom, plus everything else that it accrued here. So this would go from a 18 power Venom to 24, 25... 26 on the Odin buff, and then 26 plus 8. That would be 34 power right there. Plus putting 2 more Nimrods out. We can Wolverine on 2. We've already got half of the preferred combo in hand with a chance with Iron Lad to hit something else. Rickety Bridge is hysterical for us because it's basically free real estate. I don't want them to be able to recur anything, so I'm just going to magic that away now. We now have 3/4 of the combo in hand, but we are missing the important piece of Shuri. We can Iron Lad on 4. If we don't draw Shuri, it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 in 5. We have a 20% chance to draw what we need. Colleen Wing hitting Wolverine. That's an inked Wolverine. A very good looking variant. Alright, we did not. So we're going to Iron Lad over here. Let's see if we hit Shuri. 1 in 4. We hit Deathlock. Okay. So what we do now is we just raw play Nimrod, and we're now playing a different game because we're not going to have Shuri. So we have 3 destroy cards in hand, 4 if you count destroy, which I think we should. We need to be careful of these lanes. Anything that can beat 24 power in a particular lane is going to be a real threat. So here's what I want to do. There's about to be a lot of Nimrods. There's about to be a lot of Nimrods. Because there's going to be multiple Nimrods mid. 27. Okay. If we can play Destroyer after all this, we'll probably play Destroyer into Xandar. Now Wolverine just kind of vibing. Now I actually don't want to destroy her. I can do this just to trigger 2 kills on Wolverine again. He's got nowhere else to go. I don't know if this is snap worthy. It very well could be. For not trying Shuri, we did pretty okay there. Yep. Lot of Nimrods. A lot of Nimrods. All right. Back up to 94. All right. Very good opener. Float. We don't have to play Wolverine this turn. He's just extra value. Maybe snap before Nimrod and get 2 cubes. It wouldn't have mattered. I'm fairly confident that, like, because my opponent was on discard and they only played Dracula, so like, wouldn't have changed anything. I'm quite familiar with how that works. It just doesn't always matter. Okay, so our opponent is playing some negative stats clutter. We didn't necessarily have to Shuri this lane. We could have Shuried somewhere else and then just played Nimrod into the lane we initially played Shuri in. Debris. Yep, just clutter. It's fine. They get their card draw. We don't have a second destroyer in hand that isn't just destroyer. And we kind of need to Nimrod this turn, so... What's the line? Iron Lad has, at that point, a 1 in... Oh wait, actually, well, that's tricky. Because I could not Iron Lad plus Venom here. I don't have the energy. Maybe we just Destroyer. We can Destroyer here because I doubt they're going to have anything that's going to beat 15, but that's going to be 27 there. We're leaving this lane, and then we're going to be putting 12 here if we do that. We can't just Destroyer here because Nebula will take them up to 13 and we'll lose that lane. This, I think, is the best because it guarantees that we win this one. We just need to hope that they don't play for left, which they might not. They might look at this and think that they have to beat that rather than reinforce this. They split the difference, okay. That's actually massively entertaining. Okay. Didn't pull Nova or Magic, but that's also high-key very funny. That's a lot of stats there. Oh, okay. That was a sick play, but they're gonna lose. That was a very sick play. If they had just left the Doc Ock here, they would have won that. Nice. That's what's really great about Arnim Zola into the Venom Nimrod lane after you've comboed off on 6, because you're just happy with either option, right? You're either adding a total of 2 Nimrods to the other 2 lanes, or you're just flunging even harder around the board with Nimrod kill triggers off of the Venom. In this instance, I think we don't want Venom to drop, so I think we just play nothing. Okay. That's a lot of stats that they have to try to contest now. It's a shame that we don't get that destroy trigger, but it's still a very fat body. Destroyer is a big boy. We otherwise now have half of the defaults combo. Default being Shuri Nimrod into Venom Carnage. Dark Dimension. So this means necessarily if we Shuri Nimrod, we have to do it mid. Armor. Okay, that's fine. Ooh, actually, is that fine? That complicates things a little bit. That complicates things a little bit. Okay, so when we draw Chavez on 6, we can probably play Chavez into that and just make... Well, is that enough? Well, no, because we're going to have 12 power Nimrods. 12 power Nimrods is just worth more. We could... So... we could do this... this is interesting. We could just stick Zola in here right now. And then turn 7. We can Venom this. So I'll Iron Lad first, because Iron Lad could hit Wolverine, and that'll be a lot of power flying around. Hit Wolverine. Perfect. Beautiful. Shuri into a meme-worthy Infinite. A proper fat lad Infinite. Okay, Nimrod in opening hand is always good. Let's see. Nimrod plus Venom is half of our preferred combo. Deathlock can provide another portion. Alright, so we need to play a card now. And I think we're gonna do that there. Storm. We don't need to play for that because we're still going to be able to put minimum 12, possibly 24 power into that lane. We're going to Iron Lad in the hopes that we high roll and pull Shuri. It's because it cannot hit Chavez. She's on the bottom. 25% chance between Wolverine, Magic, Shuri, or Nimrod. That means nothing. We hit Wolverine, that's okay. A big fat Wolverine of 6 power is never a problem. And we drew Carnage. Now, Nova is kind of stranded out there without Destroyer. Yeah, Destroyer's not even the line anyway. Destroyer would only tie? Yeah, Destroyer would only tie here. This actually puts 2 Nimrods into the... my current goof adventure is trying Magic in Galactus. Oh, where like you Magic... like let's say you're going to Galactus the left lane. You like Magic mid. So that way the game just surprise ends on 6. Oh, yes. Yes, Iron Lad. That's exactly the right place for you to land. That is exactly the right place. I need power in that lane. Unless that's Shadow King, in which case I might just go fuck myself. Wait, hang on. We might have it. We still have just enough raw bodies there. Oh, okay. The Shadow King was a sick play. That was absolutely the right line with Sarah Surfer. That was a big explosive turn here. And, like, well done. Problem, I have not pulled Magic and Galactus together yet. Download the patch that says better RNG. Marvel Snap. It's what all the pros do. Shuri plus Venom in hand. Shuri, Venom plus Nimrod in hand. Will Wolverine into Stark Tower? Or we could Shuri Nimrod into Stark Tower, because they would all benefit from that. Actually, I like that a lot more. We have full combo in hand. I don't want to snap yet. We don't know what our opponent's on. It's tempting to snap. It's snappable. Brood. I now don't really live in fear of that lane. I just won a game because of Yondu buffing my null exactly enough. In null decks, oh shit. We are full on in for it here. Double snapping, both of us. They're feeling pretty confident. They are, okay, Magic is fine. Of the lanes for them to change, that one affects me the least. I want them to, like, well, actually, even if they had Shang-Chi, it wouldn't really matter, because they have priority, so they cannot interact with this play.
All systems go.
Alright, that's a 14 power Nimrod online. And we have 7 turns to goof about, plus Arnim Zola. Actually, hang on. We have extra energy. Let's be smart about this now. So I know mathematically what kind of power stats this deck can put out. I don't think they can beat me. Like, the best power that a Brood Surfer lane can put out in a single lane is, I think, like 21 to 25. 25 being with Nova buff, which they currently don't have. They could Nova Killmonger 7. That's not impossible. That Iron Man is going to have to do some heavy fucking lifting. That Mystique is not an unheavy lift, but I just have way more raw dog power. So Arnim is still the line, because the lunacy of what happens. I'm so happy we double snapped. I'm beyond confident this is an 8-cuber. Hitting Venom is actually the high roll here, because watch this fucking mania occur. Because that's a 23 power Venom that we're just kind of goofing with. Ooh, okay. I don't think we actually care. I think we have so many stats. They might beat us left. They cannot possibly beat us mid and right. Yeah, like... Okay, so... Wong Surfer can clearly punch above the weight class that I mentioned previously. That said, this is like the peak sequence that this deck puts out. It is... You get the full combo, you then Venom into Carnage on 6, and then you can Arnim Zola on 7. If you hit Nimrods, you're happy. If you hit Venoms, you're laughing maniacally. Venom's actually the high roll. Fun fact, Venom's usually the high roll when it comes to Arnim. That play will make a man believe in God, I tell you. That kind of play will make a man believe things.